So today, yeah, let's talk a little bit about AI and some of the AI features that are built into our system. We don't have time to go over every possible thing, but let me do a screen share here real quick and let's jump in. So as you know, there are a bunch of features here built in for different things. And let's start with the builder, the push button portfolio builder. So down here at the bottom is an AI assistant. I realize the font's a little bit smaller. We're going to get that a little bit bigger, but for those of you who are squinting, it says based on current market conditions, which of my available strategies should I include in a portfolio and why? And so what this does, we actually have like this thing called the market pulse, where it's looking at right now we're, the first week of May, looking at what is the current market conditions, right? So like, what does it look like right now? What's happening out in the world and the market? Some things are up, some things are down, which you could probably say that any day of the year, some things are up, some things are down. And it's talking about like the market trend is bullish, the volatility is normal, the volatility index is still normal, the direction is strong, kind of pointing towards like long bias, bullish bias. Uh, and then position size is kind of like time to be aggressive, right? So it's got these little dashboard widgets, and you can scroll through this, but I have two active portfolios right now and then some that are saved. So it's kind of like I got a list of you'll see here I got like six total. Two are active, four are just kind of on standby. And then you'll notice down here we got some AI market insights as well. But what we're gonna do is go back to the AI system for the portfolio, and this is telling me, hey, this strategy has a net profit of 17,000. And basically, I can ask AI questions about my current configuration for the current strategy that I'm looking at, the current portfolio, and it'll give me observations, insights, all kinds of things, right? So what it's saying here is out of some of what I have configured here, it's saying has got certain profit strategy, has a high monthly average, making a strong candidate, or this other one has performing well in the favorable trend environment. Or it'll also say, something down here. This one has a kind of a smaller drawdown and it aligns well with the current bullish conditions. And it's like these strategies emphasize breakout potential and a strong trend environment. So, anyways, all that is to say that we're able to connect, like if you have something like Claude or OpenAI or any of the popular AI tools, you can add your API token and it'll actually use your account. And so it'll take your portfolio here, run it through your language model, whatever you're using, and kind of bring back some ideas and some results here. And so we have some kind of pre-configured things in here. So another one is, are there any strategies that are too correlated or they might conflict with each other? Again, it's taking what we're looking at here, running it through an AI tool and kind of bringing back the results here, all from this single dashboard. There's other things that you can actually ask it. So yes, there are pre-configured questions here. What is the weakest part of my portfolio? If I can only run 5 strategies, which 5 give me the best diverse portfolio for this market? Again, everything's built in here, so you can get opinions on what's built, run it through AI, and then get some answers here. And it's showing, here's some ideas based on, based on like whatever the question is, and you can, it'll pull back some answers. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. That's super cool.
Yeah. So the other thing is you can also ask like follow-up questions, right? So just like everything else, it retains knowledge and history of like what you've asked it. So you can kind of retain the context of, you wouldn't just say, what do you suggest? It's in context of a previous conversation. Then a follow-up question would be, what do you suggest, right? So the other thing is you can also ask your own custom questions about this. You can ask your own, like something specific that you want. Obviously, you can use pre-configured questions. You can ask your own. And so that's kind of how this is built into the AI assistant specific for the push button portfolio builder. And if you're like, I don't want to see it, you can just hide it and it just kind of collapses. So pretty cool. Thoughts on that overall?
No, I think that's fantastic. I love
Yeah.
the ability to have an AI agent just kind of give me a little bit of direction, historically,
Yep.
and just kind of analyze what's that specific portfolio. Yeah, that's super cool.
And as we switch over to the analyzer, I was trying to remember the analyzer has some pretty cool stuff that's built in, and I'm just gonna flip through the screen because I know we've seen some of this, but this does have some things that are built in. So in this case, you'll see my diversification here for my selected portfolio. When I built it, now I'm analyzing it. So we're now in the push button portfolio analyzer at the top, and you'll see that I have a pretty good diversification score. And it's basically looking at all the bots that I've selected, how well they play nice with each other, or are they all stacked one way or another, meaning when the market goes up, your account goes up a lot. When it goes down, your account goes down a lot. Like, how do we like have something that's pretty balanced, right? That's the idea. And then it does have some pretty cool features. These aren't necessarily AI, but you can run a simulation of how well you'll see in this case, got a 95.7% win rate. And if you're using a cash account like a traditional broker, like Schwab or Interactive Brokers or NinjaTrade or anything for futures trading specifically, it'll run some simulations and kind of show you how well things could have worked over time. And then finally, the report card is kind of the AI feature here inside the analyzer. And on the right, you can ask questions about the portfolio here as well. And then this has this AI report card. So you can generate the report card. And so it has it's like six things that it looks at. It's saying it's got a good profit factor. My win rate's a little bit low, not the end of the world. But again, as you and I have talked about many times, the win rate itself isn't necessarily amazing by itself factor. It's one of many factors. And then it's giving me this grade of B plus. It's saying good. It shows good performance with room for improvement. And then it talks about, gives you like a rundown of like this is like teacher's notes, like specific things, the bottom line, the readiness for funded accounts, right? And so that's kind of how the AI features work in the portfolio, the push button portfolio analyzer. So questions on that?
No, no, not at all. It's super good. I gotta
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
start using this.
Yeah. And again, this AI feature only works when you plug in your own API key. So if you go up here to settings and then scroll down to AI assistant, it's an optional feature. If you want to connect to it and get AI insights, you can do that. I'm using I don't know, what am I using? The 4.0 mini.
Yeah,
So you can test the connection, but you basically like set up the account, get the API key, plug it in here, and then you're good to go. And it does support quite a few. So I personally am becoming a huge fan of Claude and Anthropic. I just happen to have OpenAI kind of connected now, but there's quite a few that are in here as well. So lots and
awesome.
lots of cool stuff. So if we were to switch and kind of go back into like a live tracker. So you remember the push button portfolio builder is like where you can mix and match. Analyzers like where you're evaluating what you've selected. The live tracker is like what you're using once you've gone live. So once you've gone live, like what's happening. Now in this case, the portfolio I'm running right now, I've only been running it for a little over a week. So I don't have tons of trades, but at the bottom here, you can see you can ask again, the same types of things where you have the pre-configured questions and then you can choose those. And so we can look at some of how the strategies carrying the portfolio, what you're dragging. Again, I would kind of disregard a lot of this in my exact instance. Why? Because I've only been running this a week, so I don't have tons of trades to make a good opinion on. It's just going to tell me what it's going to tell me. And then same thing where it's talking about these two are dragging, but these have only had one or two trades. So you can't really talk about dragging down a portfolio when you've only had a handful of trades to start with. So in my exact case, I would just kind of disregard that just because it hasn't been running long enough. And again, same thing. You can ask specific questions, and it's just looking at the actual like trades that have been taken so far and like what that looks like. And then finally, you do get like a full report card again. This portfolio has only been running for like portfolio five's only been running for I don't know a week or two. So I wouldn't take all of this with a huge grain of salt. Actually, that didn't seem to do any. Oh, here it is. Okay. So it's just giving me live performance. Is that is, oops. So all strategies executing trades at the expected frequency. And these two haven't taken trades at all, of course, which is normal sometimes. And this may be signal of absence of trading opportunities or a stall in performance or both. One of the things that does happen, of course, is when we are like when you're placing a trade, sometimes if you're using small risk like $100, it may need more than one contract and may need three contracts, and you have a maximum of one contract. So, there's not a way to trade a third of a contract. So it may just say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna take 0 trades. So
It may only take one contract.
right.
Yep.
So sometimes it doesn't take a trade, even though the setup is there, because your risk is too small. And sometimes it might need three contracts to take your risk. And you're like, oh, I only want $100 of risk. And like, oh, well, I need a third of a contract. And as you know, the minimum contract size you can trade is one contract. And so, again, if you're using too small of a risk, you might sometimes just skip certain trades. And that's all built into the portfolio and the modeling where if you're using small risk, that becomes a problem. If you're using, 250 to plus risk, usually that's rarely ever a problem. Again, that's sometimes the reason why it doesn't take a trade.
Yeah, this is perfect. So if I would have ran this, it would have given me some insight because I actually didn't get any trades for NQ or 6S. So yeah, very cool.
Yep. And then this isn't really the AI, but it's showing the performance of what did this do historically relative to my performance. I'm slightly ahead of where I should be. And so, that again, you can't draw that exactly because this is historical versus live. It's not going to be exact, but it is what it is. And so that's kind of the idea of how well it works and how well it tracks. And then the health is showing in the last 7 days, pretty healthy. Obviously, if I was to go back like 90 days, it's going to say breach, but it's only been trading for a week, so it's really too early to say. But again, it's showing healthy across the board, and it's just telling me my win rate again, only because I've had a few trades. Even though I've had a few trades, I'm still profitable. Again, it goes back to that slower, lower win rate. You can still be profitable. And if I'm risking $1 to make $3, I can have a pretty low win rate and still be profitable. And that's kind of exactly what it's showing. But your net profit drawdown, all this stuff across the bottom here is showing how well, the current portfolio I'm running, portfolio number 5, how well that's performing. Like the idea here is that the technology itself makes a lot of decisions for you, makes some recommendations. You can make some decisions yourself and then ask AI for like a second opinion. And it can tell you, hey, this works great, or, in current environment, I would do it slightly different, right? And so again, all of these are just tools. We are working on a calculator. We'll talk about that in a future sesh, is the cash accounts, because we can spend a lot of time on that. But that's kind of it for the AI features from a high level. Obviously, if you get a chance to run through these on your own and play with it yourself, kind of see what you think and go from there.